In the blue and white sky, an airplane cuts through the sky, sailing from the blue clouds into the dim horizon. Ray, who had just finished his army career, returned to the city with a little bit of confusion and helplessness. Warm sunshine, clear green space, holding a book, Kylie, two silent eyes, looking ahead of the couple, dazed. The scene in front of him evoked his thoughts of his boyfriend. Just at this time, Ray appeared behind her, not seen for a long time. Emotional Kylie pounced on the past, respectively, for a long time. The two of them, to each other's thoughts, have reached the extreme. Before, Ray, for the sake of the country, serving in the army for a long time. From now on, he will put his own everything to take care of the love of his life. So Ray went with the flow of being single and on his knees. And on this calm but beautiful afternoon, he proposed to Carrie. Everything fell into place. Carrie put on the ring, and Ray embraced and left. In her overexcitement, Carrie leaves her books on the grass, and just as Ray turns around, an unexpected visitor arrives, and the future begins to look dim and uncertain. Tim, driving a Ferrari, lewdly accosts Carrie. Rushing back, Ray was very annoyed at this scene, but looking at the worried look on Carrie's face, he ignored Tim's provocation, intending to take his girlfriend straight away. But he didn't expect that a moment of forbearance would make the other party more and more crazy. Tim directly walked over, took off his pants and molested Kylie. Anger surged. Ray, 3 or 2 will dry over the two. Unwilling, Tim pulled out a dagger, wanting to violence against Ray. Just out of the army, Ray a little helpless. He does not like to fight, but why things are not the way they should be. He casually punched Tim and knocked him down. Little did he know that Tim would lose his breath on that. With the sound of a rapid siren, Ray begins a deliberation with his lawyer. Ray had to make a choice. To plead not guilty and failure would be 5 to 8 years in prison, or to accept the manslaughter charge and be able to return to Cali in 18 months. At this point in time, there was no best option, and Ray could only assure Cali with difficulty that it would only take 18 months, and everything would be okay after that. As the two enjoyed their warmth before parting, Tim's father approached the warden with the pain of losing his son. He didn't want Ray to die outright, but wanted him to live in prison for a long, painful time. Knowing nothing, Ray went into the huge prison cell. After the baptism of the prison guards, he spent his first night, with uneasiness, in a cramped little room. Trouble always follows, and the next day on release, an unintentional bump triggers an attack from others, and between poles, another group rushes in. Prison is not a peaceful place. Arab and Indian gangs fight each other, and Ray, with his Arab heritage, is naturally favored by Mike, the leader of the Arab gang. The incident was forcibly quelled with the intervention of the prison guards. Ray is then assigned by the guards to work in the library, where the librarian is named David. This is the first time the two men meet, and although they don't have much goodwill towards each other, they get along just fine. However, a greater evil is coming. Prison guard Rico deliberately targeting, in the search time, on Carrie's photo to make obscene behavior. Want to resist, Ray almost received a severe beating. In the shower, he is threatened again to get on his knees and open his mouth. Annoyed, Ray immediately struck out and was naturally knocked down again by Rico. At the direction of the warden, Ray endures even more of a baptism with a high-pressure water gun. The intricate gang dynamics, the dark prison environment, the extremely targeted members of the prison guards, all of it was gradually taking away Ray's sanity. He knew he couldn't just sit back and wait, so he took it upon himself to befriend the gangs, and even saved the boy Jed, a young man who had just turned 18, during a fight. Afterward, David curiously approached Ray and asked him why he had risked his life to protect Jed, which wasn't the same as what he had always done. Ray was silent for a moment, then told a story of how, on the battlefield in Iraq, he had shot a boy to stop him from getting close to a guard post, and that it was only a 16-year-old who had died at his hands because he was hungry and out looking for food. He felt guilty for it, yet he got a Medal of Valor for it, which made him very helpless. War was nothing, no dignity, no honor, and no life. Now he sees the boy as his salvation and wants to save him as much as he can. Hearing Ray's story, David was deeply moved and kept opening his mouth for comfort, and a conversation that unloaded both men. Though the days are still hard, he finally gets a moment of respite thanks to Ray's efforts. The persecution of the prison warden got worse and worse in order for him to cause trouble and thus extend his sentence. One dark night, he suffers an abuse and, in the aftermath, is even shoved down a toilet. His abnormality triggers the attention of Neil, who, as the second most important figure in this prison after the warden, is a man of extreme integrity and loyalty to his job. After he notices the anomaly, he begins to investigate the events, but the warden, who is still not satisfied enough, is also hatching a bigger plot. In order to force Ray to cause trouble, the two Rico men begin to oppress another inmate, whereupon the Indian gang is assassinated and the charges are laid against Ray. In order to avoid unforeseen consequences, he went to the other side alone to negotiate, but as a result, he is disliked by both gangs at the same time. And Jed, the boy he most wanted to save, was captured by the Indian gang and similarly abused. Carrie, who wanted to visit, didn't escape either, as she was asked by Rico to strip for inspection, and while it was tempting to refuse the rude request, if she didn't accept she'd have to leave and make a new appointment for a visit. There was no telling when they would see each other next time. For the sake of her lover, Carrie had to endure the insults of the guards and undress in front of them. What Carrie didn't know was that Rico had taken the surreptitious photos of her and put them in front of Ray, who, separated by an iron fence, could do nothing but curse the two men frantically. The accumulation of emotions makes him a little out of control, so when he meets with Carrie, he can't help but make snide remarks. And in this atmosphere, both of them are furious. It wasn't until Carrie was so aggrieved that she shed tears, and Ray's heart ached instantly. He knew that the problem wasn't with Kyrie, and he sincerely apologized before taking Kyrie in his arms, determined to love and care for her in the future. Only Rico and the others had more plans than that. They took Ray to the warehouse and wanted to waste his right hand. Ray, whose anger is ignited, easily knocks out the two men, but he is also imprisoned as a result. The empty chamber, the sudden noise, the unpalatable meals. His spirit gradually dwindled until he went insane. He was mentally tortured, but his sanity was not completely lost. And when he came out, he stayed away from everyone and waited for his chance alone and in silence. As Ray waits, Jed, under Mark's spell, agrees to assassinate Ray, but when it comes down to it, the boy breaks down first, aborting the assassination, which Mark uses as an excuse to take his life. Outside the door, songs and bells ring simultaneously, mourning the quiet loss of another life. For David's safety, Ray repeatedly asked him to stay away from him, but David was always there for him, giving him as much help as he could. And one night, another meeting between Ray and David let him know that the opportunity he was waiting for was close. The next day when the wind was let out, a duel with him was agreed upon. The gray-haired Mark was easily overpowered, and Ray's arm grew stronger as he remembered the departed Jed. In the warden's expectant eyes, Ray saw a gentle shake of David's head, so he let go of the chief and embraced David. However, a knife appeared silently at Mike's side. He picked it up and stabbed at Ray. David, who saw the scene, blocked Ray's way. David fell and the chief died at the hands of the Indian gang. Ray looked at the warden with unstoppable hatred in his eyes. In the warden's office, Ray loudly questioned him, "Why did you kill so many people?" And he just answered, "Casualties are the price of war." Ray looked a little bit demoralized. Lowe asked the reason. Too complacent warden told everything, and then by the door of the prosecutors to listen to the right. That night, David brings Ray a cell phone and Neil joins the plan. By this point, the warden had stepped down, the guards had been arrested, and Ray was finally free of prison, and on a breezy afternoon, got in the car with Carrie and began to move forward again.